Africa is a continent rich with opportunity. And when business and communities come together, its astonishing potential begins to be felt. With the Millennium Development Goals steering these partnerships, Africa's future is being rewritten with innovation, foresight, and inclusivity. Crossing the length and breadth of the continent, our journalists uncover these stories and share them with the world. Join us now for remarkable stories of partnerships across Africa, building the future and changing lives. It's Africa's time.
People always speak about alleviating poverty in Africa. It's a vast, magnificent continent filled with limitless potential. But you can get overwhelmed by how much needs to be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Gomisa. We'll be landing in Nairobi shortly. Please fasten your seatbelts and prepare for landing.
How do we make meaningful, sustainable change on the ground, unlocking this potential and changing lives? I've heard of a man who has come up with a plan, a social entrepreneur and inventor who has embraced the challenge and brought together local farmers, a bank, and a fantastic invention that seems to be turning things around.
I had finished a PhD in engineering back in the US, and this was 1985. And I realized I was uniquely qualified to either try to teach or do weapons research or work for big oil. And none of that really sounded very exciting to me. I came down here for 10 months and I stayed for 18 years. And I came to look and see what could be done with technology to try to do something to help poverty. 80% of the poor in Africa are poor rural farmers, and the vast majority of them are doing rain-fed agriculture. And they all plant at the same time when it rains, they all harvest at the same time, they all try to sell into the same crowded market, all making very low margins, making enough to survive, but not enough to get out of poverty. Now, if you could switch away from rain-fed agriculture into irrigated agriculture, with irrigation you can bring out the crops throughout the year and you can get high value for your crops because you're bringing them out in that dry season when there are no other crops on the market. So what Kickstart does is it designs and mass markets very low-cost irrigation pumps that we get into the hands of millions of small-scale farmers, enabling them now to grow high-value crops throughout the year, greatly increase their incomes, and lift themselves that first step out of poverty.
I am a farmer.
So we have two different kinds of pumps. Our best-selling pump is called the Moneymaker Max. You step back and forth on two treadles, and you now have two pistons and two cylinders, and you pull water up through a hose pipe, out of a well, and then you push it through another hose pipe under pressure to the field. Now that's good, but that's $170. So we said, can we make a lower cost pump? And so this is when we invented something we called the Moneymaker Hip. Now we call it a hip pump because it looks like a hand pump, but it's not actually operated using the arms. Instead, it's operated with a sort of rocking motion, something like this. And this you can do all day. And that's why we call it the hip pump. It's almost a dancing motion.
Doreen Gatwiri and her family have been subsistence farmers for generations. Life was very different for them before the Moneymaker pump came along.
When it was no rain, we normally used to use buckets to water our plants. And now, with rain or with no rain, we are in the farm. It has really changed our life. We used to be a very poor people, but now we are not rich, but we can afford ourselves food, shelter. Yeah. So when the children go to school and my husband goes to the farm,
that okay?
Exactly.
And then
You can tie it with that one.
this is good. Say I'm a good student. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, like that. Yeah.
So the whole day, this is what you do.
Yeah.
And then when you go dancing, then your hip is good because then you have to. When you're dancing. Right?
Juu wakati sikuwa na money maker, nilikuwa na harvest kidogo sana. Sasa hata wakati sikuwa na money maker, ningeachana na ukulima. Lakini wakati sasa nilinunua money maker, nikawa na bidii ya kufuatilia hiyo farming sasa.
Yeah, so this building here is actually where Kickstart started, way back in 1991. And right here on the edge of the slum called Kariobangi, this is where we keep all our pumps and the hose pipes. They pack very, very compactly here.
Right.
Because shipping is a big cost. These hoses here are the outlet hoses, which is like the garden hose that goes out to the field from
Right.
the pump. And then as we go on through here, you'll see up above here and in front of us, these are the inlet hoses. And the inlet hoses are the ones that actually have to be a bit rigid because of the suction.
And these are locally sourced.
Absolutely, these are all made here in Kenya, as are all those outlet hoses as well.
Kickstart distributes pumps via local hardware stores and suppliers. Although the pumps are pretty sturdy and don't require much maintenance, farmers can buy any spare parts they need at the same stores.
It's all very well to have a whole lot of small innovations, great ideas, but unless we can scale them up to large scale where we're talking about millions of farmers, we're not going to solve and meet the Millennium Development Goals. In our case, of course, the poverty goal, but also the education goal. And this is precisely where the kind of finance that Citi is giving us is enabling us to scale up on a much more rapid pace.
Citi has been a catalyst and an enabler of progress in multiple ways in this country. It's a $2 million funding line that we've given to Kickstart as Citi, which enables them, in short, import and distribute pumps. We still are a developing part of the world. If you look at the high unemployment rates, if you look at the high level of farmers on a subsistence basis, empowerment is a key focus for the bank. Empowerment is a key focus for, I believe, any industry or any financial institution.
The line of credit from Citi was very, very useful in terms of allowing us to buy more pumps into our working capital. We order from our factories in China, and of course it's about a month to ship a pump from China to Africa.
We help Kickstart with an array of services. Basically, we help them with all their global banking needs. We provide them with financing needs, so a line of credit that helps them make their operations sustainable. This line of credit helps them bridge the gap when there is a cash flow crunch. We provide them with foreign exchange sourcing, and we provide them with cash management.
Martin, how are you?
Hey, very good, Michael.
Very
good to see you.
Thanks for
coming by the office. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Thanks for the appointment.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about the pumps?
Hey, well, here they are. We've sold over 240,000 of these, and we're selling about 25,000 of these a year right now across Africa. And over 80,000 of those have been sold here in Kenya. And so we've got, 65, 70,000 farmers actively using these pumps in Kenya, growing high-value crops throughout the year and dramatically increasing their incomes.
The city is such an important place for small-scale farmers like Doreen and Isaac. It's where all the trade and action happens and where their largest customer base lies. With Nairobi's population at over 3 million, it's a trading environment they cannot afford to ignore.
Watch out. Okay, cool. The traders here at the Fig Tree Informal Market at Ngara in the center of Nairobi buy some of their produce from small-scale farmers on the outskirts of the city.
They rely on a steady supply of good quality produce to sell to their city customers. The moneymaker pumps are an essential part of this trading cycle.
Hello, Doreen. You all right?
Yeah.
So what's happening?
I'm just picking managu for my customers.
And what do you use managu for?
It's an vegetable,
How do you cook it?
like curry.
So I can't eat it like...
No.
No?
Yeah, it's sour.
I mustn't try it.
Yeah, don't try.
So this is what it's about. This is the result of the Moneymaker pump.
Before Moneymaker, we used to travel to our farm with bicycle, but now we have a motorcycle. Before Moneymaker, we had a small muddy house, but now we have this house. Before Moneymaker, we had one child, and now we have 3.
What do you want for your children in the future?
I want them to have good education so that they can have a good life.
To date, 170,000 families have literally taken that first step out of poverty as a result of using our irrigation pumps. Kids are going to primary school, they're going to secondary school, they're even going on to university. Between them, they are growing enough fruits and vegetables that are feeding between 8 and 10 million people all of their fruit and vegetables need.
Africa will be a tremendous area where you can solve the problem of agriculture, because Africa is the future agriculture for the whole world. Idea of transforming technology to address the problem which were never addressed before. But the moment you see it's a problem-solving business, then you bring the technology to solve the problem. Your creative power becomes a lot more powerful than it had been before.
I'd like to see it become a Pan-African initiative. I mean, if you look at Kenya, for example, if you consider that 2/3 of the people rely on small-scale land holdings, then I think there's still significant room to scale up and provide this opportunity to much more members of the population.
The time that I've spent here with Martin, Doreen and Isaac has left a big impression on me. It's taught me one thing for sure. It is possible to invest in something that leads to amazing crops, money being made, and people moving from poverty to a much better life. When you bring simple mechanics and innovation to an environment that is ripe for growth, amazing things begin to happen and lives are truly changed. To me, it's clear how the Moneymaker pumps are making a difference here. Imagine the impact if they were available across Africa and the rest of the world.
It's the end of the rainy season in the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro, and we're on an avocado farm called Africado to explore how skilled professionals can help turn a business around and transform the lives of thousands who farmed this land for generations.
So you're enjoying the miserable weather of Tanzania?
Yes, I'm loving the miserable weather.
We've got 40,000 trees, which is 137 hectares. Well, our first planting was 2008, and we finished planting in 2012.
What's your best thing to do on the farm?
Well, I think walking the crops, getting out and about and spending time on the farm. I'm James Parsons. I came here in 2007 because I was looking for land to grow avocados. Coffee was the mainstay of the economy here, and the coffee prices have collapsed over the last sort of 20 years. So most farmers have lost out on an income and on export income on the cash crop. And for example, this farm and all the other coffee farms are just sitting empty. Finance was one of the biggest challenges, so we've got 2 venture capitalists involved here. One is AAC and one is Norfund. So they've backed us to develop this farm, build a pack house, and to start the outgrower scheme, because they're very much interested in social development of the area. Coffee and avocados grow in very similar climates, so this was an ideal place to come. And this coffee farm happened to be the highest yielding coffee farm in the world, so we knew it was going to grow really good avocados.
The Outgrower scheme creates a win-win scenario, dramatically increasing Africado's export fruit supply and providing local farmers with a stable income, James needed someone with experience to get it up and running. So he turned to human capital development organization AMSCO.
I'm Kofi Anda, Regional Manager for AMSCO for East Africa. I've been running the operations in East Africa for the last 7.5 years or so. I'm originally from Ghana, originally working in banking, but I think I wanted to be more involved in something where I could see and touch what I was helping to develop, what I was helping to build. I could point at something and say I helped develop that. The project focuses on building the capacity of African enterprises, building skills in African enterprises. But we do this in a unique way. It is not simply about training people. It's very much a hands-on capacity development project. So what we will do is that we will identify an institution that needs support, that is having a particular management or technical skills challenge. And where those skills cannot be filled or cannot be satisfied from the local market, we will identify an expatriate who has those skills, bring that individual into the company for a period of 3 to 5 years.
Kofi, nice to see you.
Hi, Duncan.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Come along in. Let's I'm Duncan Page, and I'm an agricultural engineer. AMSCO appointed me to come and work with Africado to develop their outgrower scheme that Africado are running with their avocados. I built a pack house in the first year I was here, which is going to take the fruit from this farm and from outgrowers and then pack it, put it in cold store, put it into refrigerated containers and export it to Europe. Every white sticker you can see represents our outgrowers, where the outgrowers are located. So this is Fu with 13, shows you've got 13 farmers with 899 trees. And the rest of the stickers represent all of the farmers and the trees that we have located around the mountain. It's going very well. We've now got 2,400 farmers.
Oh, that's an additional 400 farmers from the last time we were here.
That's right, yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so we're growing it and we're still pushing ahead for the 3,000.
We've been working with a UNDP facility based out of Addis Ababa called the African Facility for Inclusive Markets that looks at how what support can be provided to supply chains and value chains. And one of the focus areas is the agricultural sector. We can introduce you to them and see how they can support your work further.
You know, with projects of this size, when the amount of resource you put in is definitely proportional to the effect and the results that you get. And I think the more assistance we can get in that area, the better it'll be for the project.
Are your outgrowers, do you think they're coming up to speed? Are they getting the hang of it?
I think so. Yes, I think so. We've still got some training to do on the job, you know, as it were, on the farm. You know, we've got to get out to them. But they're getting there. So when I came in 2012 in July, nearly 2 years ago, the farm had developed something like 1,000 farmers, had given them trees to grow. And these farmers some of them are very small, you know, got very small bits of land, just a quarter of an acre, where they grow maybe a little bit of coffee and some banana. And the beauty of the avocado tree is that you can grow it in amongst the coffee and the bananas. It doesn't require an additional bit of land, you can grow it just in the middle. And so now it's given farmers an opportunity for some other source of income. Before they had avocados, they were used to the same crop, the vagaries of those markets, bananas and coffee. What we offer to the farmers now is a sustainable market, a market which doesn't fluctuate like coffee does in price. So they've got a more guaranteed income. I think this is a great opportunity. When I first heard about the project, I thought this has got the makings of something very good for the community. I get a lot of pleasure out of seeing how people improve, how they can not be able to do something one day and then suddenly they do it, and they do it without any guidance. And I get such a lot of satisfaction from that when I know that I'm the one who's helped them get to that point.
I'm a retired biology teacher, but now I'm a farmer. I'm 67 years old, and the farm where I'm working is my grandson's farm. Traditionally, this land belongs to his father, but he will eventually give it to Jeremiah. That's why I planted the avocados. They are Jeremiah's avocados. In 20 years' time, I hope to be here eating avocados, because they say that avocados have got the progeny of keeping your brains intact. So I hope to be here in 20 years to come. Then I'll be 87 only. Isn't that beautiful? 87 only. I hope to be here still looking after the avocados.
Tell us about your relationship with agriculture. Did it start when you were young?
Yeah, it did. I started farming when I was 6 years old. I used to go to the farm with my mother. My mother used to be a farmer. Farming is a lot of work. It needs a lot of work. You have to love the land and love the plants if you want to produce anything.
So tell us about Africado and your relationship with them.
Africado have given us the seedlings, that's one. They brought us their officers to teach us how to plant the Africado, and they were there when we did the planting. They have been teaching us that these fruits should not be treated with chemicals. If anything done to the fruits, they have to be there.
She's a delightful lady, very enthusiastic about the avocados and growing them. And she's one of the ones who are first Global Gap certified farmers, we hope, in the next couple of months.
Agriculture can take you out of poverty if you do your part. And if you use that money wisely, you can build your house, you can take your children to school, you can even get motorized, get a tractor, small tractor. That means you can farm more land, that means you can get more crops, that means you can get more money, and that means that you get better life. And I'd like that for everybody, a better life.
Africado has a nursery where we grow the seedlings. We take a seed and we graft on a Hass cutting, and we develop those for about 6 months before we issue them out. This year we sold something like 30,000 seedlings to farmers. We've got about 100,000 trees out in the community.
AMSCO's objective is upskilling locals at SMEs across Africa, and a central part of Duncan's mission is passing on his knowledge and experience to the farm's outgrowers manager.
My name is Mpuya Laurent. I'm actually responsible for ensuring that the outgrowers department is performing and excelling to the maximum of its capacity.
Do you love what you do?
Yes, I love what I'm doing because I'm very much interested in farming, and I'm really, as an agriculturist, very much skilled in agricultural issues.
Tell me about Duncan.
I found Duncan to be a person who is always keen in ensuring that I'm achieving my objectives.
He looks after, at the moment, 5 field officers and guides them on their daily duties, where they go and which farmers they see, with the aim of training them, issuing trees, organising the harvest. All those aspects are his responsibility. Mpuya is a very professional, dedicated guy, typically Tanzanian, very polite, very gentle, and a delight to work with. He's showing all the signs that he's well capable of taking over from me.
What does the word partnership mean for you?
Partnership is about working together, compensating for each other's weaknesses at times, and trying to coach and lift up rather than pull. It's about working together and carrying each other along as you go.
By the time Duncan exits the project, we need Mpuya to be able to manage the project himself, to be able to organise the structure, bringing in crop, payment of farmers. So Mpuya will be in a position to be able to run with the project.
So you've got to work yourself out of a job.
Yes, that's the definition of my success. If I can leave and it can continue as the way I've left it, then I've done the right thing. I've done the right job, yeah.